Hi, I'm Nancy with MSCR Fitness, and today we are doing chair exercise. So if you're part of either chair exercise or gentle X, or really just starting to go into exercise, this will be a great class for you. What we're going to do today is just move through all of our joints, get them moving, and then work through the muscles as well. All exercises can be done either seated. Some exercises and movements we will do standing, but again, that is optional. So obviously you're going to need a chair. And the other thing you might want to grab onto is just a pillow. Any kind of pillow that's got, not real flat, but it's got something that you can actually squeeze into. So take that pillow, just put it to the side for now. And what I always want to do to start off is to sit up tall, find your best posture, and to take some nice deep breaths in and out. Just cleansing breaths. Feel how your lungs feel how your collarbone feels. Slow breaths in, and a slow exhale out. How does your back feel? How do your shoulders feel? So just noticing those things, because when we do these deep breaths again, I want you to notice later on how it feels different once we get moving. Now, again, with that good posture, let's just roll the shoulders back. Full circles, up, back, down, and forward. So full circles around. It might feel a little crunchy or a little stiff if you haven't done these for a while. And then with the shoulders, let's just take them up and down, squeezing your shoulders up by your ears and releasing back down. So we've got a lot of different shoulder movements because our shoulders move in lots of different directions. And next with the shoulders, I'm just going to have you pull them back. So squeezing the shoulder blades together, almost arching the upper back, and then release. Try not to arch the lower back, just keep that upper back moving. Our upper back is meant for mobility, so we need it to move. Again, squeeze back and relax. Now staying with this upper body, with your arms at your side, let's move through the neck next. Looking one side, coming back to the center, and then going to the other side. Back to center. And each time, see if you can look back just a little farther. And again, this might be a little stiff or crunchy, but we need to get that neck moving in the different directions that it moves. Now, recentering your nose again. Let's work on the side of the neck, feeling that stretch, bringing your ear to your shoulder. Try not to lift the shoulders, keep the shoulders down. Come back to that center neutral position and drop to the other side. We're going to hold each side about 2 or 3 seconds. And again, going back to the first side, back to neutral, and again. And going through this 3, 4, 5 times each side. Our last neck movement is for the back of your neck. What you're going to do is you're going to pull your nose back like a chicken, and then tuck your chin down and come back up to neutral. Making sure you pull your nose back first before tucking the chin to keep that neck in good alignment. Good. One more time. Pull back and tuck the chin. All right, coming back to neutral again, making sure you're keeping your good posture. Let's go down to the bottom of the body with the ankles. I want you to take your one foot and make a circle around. Try not to move the leg. Just take the ankle around in a circle. So working through the range of movement. You want to not make it easy. You want to feel the joint moving, working through those stiff and sticky spots. We're going to go around about 10 times in each direction. So we're going to switch. Circling around. Pull your one foot back in, take the other one out, same thing. And just notice any differences between one side or the other. One side might have different sticking spots than the other. Switching directions. All of our movements, what we do in one direction, we're going to want to do in that other direction, getting the joint moving in all the ways it should be moving. Good, let's pull that foot back in. As we move up, we're going to work on the knees next. So just straightening and bending one side at a time. So extending and bending. Same thing, switching sides, extend and bend. So really just working through the joints, but the muscles are working too, our quadriceps here, making the legs straighten. Now, as we move up to our hips, we're going to do some hip work seated first, and then in a little bit we'll get into some standing hip work. So I'm going to have you scoot up toward the front of your chair, place your feet and knees together. Keeping your feet together, take the knees apart and together. So you're starting to get that movement through your hip joint. Apart and together. And then staying at that front of the chair, one side at a time, I'm going to have you take a step out and in. So getting bigger with our hip movements. Hips are similar to our shoulders in that they move all different directions. That's why we've got so many exercises and movements for them. And then let's go over to the other side, stepping out and in. And the chair is a great way to feel supported, especially when you're starting with exercise, or people who have trouble walking and standing and balancing and doing a lot of things, or people with that have a little bit of a back problem. They feel more supported in the chair. All right, we're going to move up into the torso next. So the torso, we've got 6 different movements of the torso. So I'm going to have you take your arms across your chest and just lean forwards and then back to a neutral position. Forward and back to neutral. So these are your first 2 torso movements, forwards and backwards. We're not going too far back right now. We're just really coming back up to that neutral spine. We'll do one more. And then let's take your arms at your side and lean side to side. These are your next 2 movements, side to side, right and left. Make sure you keep both hips on the chair. Don't pull that hip off, because then you're not getting as good a stretch on the sides of your torso. Coming back to neutral, we'll get our last 2 movements in. Again, arms are going to come across the chest. You're going to give yourself a hug. This last one is rotation, right and left. So movement along the spine. And then we'll bring it all the way back to neutral again. All right, so we've gone through most of our joints, our ankles, our knees, our hips, shoulders, along the spine and torso, the neck. Let's work a little bit on some of our smaller joints, our hands and our feet. So right now, you're just going to take your hands and open and close your hands. So really spread your fingers out wide, make a fist. And then just make a light fist and circle your wrists around. Kind of like you did with your ankles, trying to make a circle through the wrists. And of course, what we do one direction, we must do in the other direction, so circling around. Bring your hands back to your lap. Now, with your toes, you can't see my toes, but let's pretend you can see my toes. And what I want you to do with your toes is just squeeze them tight, bringing them off the floor, release them, and then fan your toes out. So my fingers are doing what my toes should be doing. Fan out. So squeeze the toes and fan them out. Remember, toes are joints too. They got lots of little joints in there. So we need to be able to move our toes. We'll go one more time, squeezing and fanning out. Good. Now I want you to sit up nice and tall, just like you did when you started. And let's take some more of those really big, deep breaths in and out. And again, noticing how those areas you're thinking about feel now. Big breath in, exhale out. How do your shoulders feel? How does your back feel? How does your collarbone feel? And just noticing any differences now that we've really got things moving. Now, the next part, we're going to be able to stand up. So I want you to take your feet a little bit wider apart because it's easier to stand up with a wide stance. Hands on your legs if you need to, or hands up. And we're just going to stand up. I want you to come behind your chair. That way you've got some support here if you need it. Now, what I'm going to have you do is take your hands to your hips and just take your hips around like a hula hoop. So now we're getting that bigger movement through your low back, through your hips, through your torso. This is a good movement to do every morning when you get out of bed first thing, just to get things moving. Going back in the other direction next. Taking the hips around, hula hoop. If you want to grab a hula hoop, you go right ahead. And then let's bring it back to the center. Now go ahead and take your feet a little wider apart, so they're a little wider than your chair. And we're just going to do some easy leaning side to side. This is going to give you a stretch through the adductors or inner thigh muscles. Now, this one usually starts out feeling pretty tight, but as we get through 2 or 3 repetitions, those muscles start to loosen up. We're doing what's called active stretching. So we're not holding the stretch right now. We are doing a moving stretch, one side to the other. And then we'll walk those feet back in. Now next, I'm going to have you do things on one side of the chair, mostly for our hips and legs. So come on over to one side of your chair, and just starting with an easy hip movement, all I'm going to have you do is take that outside leg and lift and lower, up and down. Lifting up the leg just to hip height. And then let's add on some external rotation. So taking that knee lift, out, back, and down. So knee comes up, out, back, and down. Standing knee, of course, always has that little bend. Never lock out the standing leg. This is really getting a good movement through the hip. Let's do this one more time. Up, out, back, and down. And then another big hip movement that I love to do is our leg circles. So you're going to take that outside leg, keeping it straight, go all the way around, making that big circle. So again, lots of exercises for our hips because they do move in all these directions. Switching directions, we're taking that circle the opposite way. Standing tall, always being aware of your posture. Now on this last leg circle, I'm going to have you step back with that outside leg. We're getting into lunge position just to stretch through the front of the hip or the hip flexor muscle. So you want to make sure that your hips are facing forward. Got your chair here to hold on to. And this stretch we're actually going to hold here. When we do a lot of sitting, which we might be doing more of these days, the hip flexor muscle gets contracted. It gets really, really tight. So it's important that we really open up and stretch the hip flexor because this helps us have a bigger step when we are walking or climbing stairs. Go ahead and step the feet back together, and then we're just going to bend that outside knee up. So we're getting that hamstring work here, just activating the hamstrings. Kind of like we did when we were seated, extending the leg for the quadriceps. This is the hamstrings now. So that heel comes up and down. Good. Get about 2 or 3 more in. Very nice. Good job. Next, we're going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Move my pillow here. So again, outside leg, just starting with lift and lower. Knee comes up to hip height. So getting that knee movement, the hip movement. And then adding The external rotation, knee lifts up, out, back, and down. And making sure that standing leg has a nice little bend through the knee, supporting the rest of your body weight. Up, out, back, down. Oh, one more time on this one. And then we have the leg circle, keeping the outside leg straight, go all the way around. And try not to move the body, keeping the torso nice and upright. And then switching directions, opposite way. Next circle, we'll take that leg back again, finding lunge position. So here, other hip flexor stretch. Hips should be facing forward. Make sure that front knee has a bend. Equal weight in both feet, just stretching, holding here. And stepping together, we'll get the hamstrings on this side, heel lifts up and down, again from the side. You can see the heel just bends to 90 degrees through the knee, heel comes up. If you got any ankle weights at home, you can do a lot of these exercises with ankle weights. And one more time. Good. All right, next I'll have you come back behind your chair. We're going to do some squats. So this is our basic sit down, stand up movement. If you want to use the chair, you can use the chair. But from behind the chair, I'm going to turn the chair here so you can see. Feet should be at least chair width apart. And we're just going to bend the knees so the hips go back. The important thing here with your squat is that the knees don't come forward. So if the knees are coming forward, I want you to think that there's a smaller chair behind you that you're trying to sit down in. Now, for those of you who do this more in a seated position or not standing, this is a good time to take your feet apart and just work on standing up and sitting back down. And if you use your hands a lot, try to build up strength where you don't have to use your hands to stand up and sit down. Try to get as many of these in as you can, maybe for 30 seconds or so. All right, I'm going to go back behind my chair where I was. So finishing up our squats. Our next movement behind the chair is going to be our bird dog. Now what this is, it's going to strengthen the muscles along the spine. So I'm going to take a little step back from my chair. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach one arm up and the opposite leg back. And I'm going to switch sides. So opposite arm and leg. From the side, and this is going to look like this. Opposite arm, opposite leg, reaching up. You're probably going to want to do about anywhere between 5 to 7 on each side. So doing our bird dogs, here goes my water bottle. Lifting up. Part of our core strength. Now, if you are seated and want an option for this, you can actually do a toe touch. So you're just going to be working on the front of the body instead. Good. Finishing up our bird dogs or toe taps. We're going to do some balance work now. We all love to do balance work. So for balance, I'm going to have you get into a heel-toe stance, which means one foot directly in front of the other. If balance is very challenging for you, I'm going to have you take your feet not right up next to each other, but have some distance between them. Otherwise, kind of like you're walking on a tightrope. Now, if you need a little help, you can put a finger or two on your chair. If you've got a big, heavy grip on your chair, that's not going to help you practice balance. If you can take your arms and cross them across your chest. And we're just going to hold here. And I want you to notice what your feet and ankles are doing. Do you have equal weight in both feet? Are you standing tall with just a little bend through each knee? I want you to go ahead and take a nice big breath in and out. And then take your arms down, and let's switch the feet around. So the opposite foot now. Same options here, a finger or two on your chair. Hands across your chest if you can, bending through the knees. A big breath in and out. Good, we'll release back down. All right, let's take a seat back on the chair if you are standing and find the pillow. So I've got my pillow here, and what we're going to do is we're going to put that pillow right between the knees. Now, if you have an exercise like a ball, like a squishy playground ball, you can use that here too. We use balls in the classroom, but if you don't have a ball, pillow works just perfectly well. And all I'm going to have you do is squeeze the knees together and release back out. Squeeze together, release back out. So this pillow is acting as a cushion between your knees so we can work the adductor muscles or the inner thigh muscles. Squeeze and release. Good, make sure you breathe. Breathing is very important. We need to keep that oxygen flowing. We need to keep our balance. We need to keep oxygen flowing to the brain. When we exercise, the muscles that are working the hardest are getting more blood. So we need to make sure that we are breathing, keeping the oxygen flowing throughout the body, because when we hold our breath is when we get into some trouble. We might lose balance. It's just not good for us. So breathing as we're squeezing and releasing. Especially on these squeezing exercises, we have a tendency to hold the breath. Let's get in a couple more of these adductor squeezes. Great. And then I'm going to have you take your pillow and you're going to place it in your upper back, so behind you, right into that upper back area. And this is just going to cushion what we're going to do. Your hips are going to scoot forward, and you're going to move your feet forward a little bit. We're going to work on our abdominal muscles. With the hands across the chest, you're going to try to push that pillow back into the chair. So you're going to hold tight through the abdominal muscles, and then release. So again, taking that pillow, push it back. Try not to use your feet a lot. I know those feet want to push back hard. Release. Push back, hold the pillow back, and release. Let's do a couple more. Push and release. One more time. Big push and release. Good job. All right, let's bring that pillow back out front. All right, next what we're going to do is we're going to work on some more abdominal work here. So I'm going to have you place one arm on your pillow and your other hand on your hip. Now what you want to do without using the muscles in your arm is you're just going to push down on that pillow using the torso. So you're going to contract the abdominals and bring that torso down toward this arm on the one side. A lot of times we'll do this with the ball under the elbow, but now we don't have a ball, so we just got the pillow there. But I want you to feel how the abdominals contract to bring you forward and then back up. Contract and back up. Do one more here. And then we'll switch sides, placing that hand down, that forearm on the pillow. Other hand comes to the hip. So again, bringing the torso forward, contracting through the abdominals. Pillow makes it nice and cushy for us. So we're not actually pushing into the leg. So lots of things that we can do without having to use any equipment. We've all got chairs, floors, pillows, weights, things like that we can use. One more time. There it is. All right, the other way you could do some abdominal exercises is to actually just put your hand, your palm on your knee. Lift the knee up and at the same time push down with your hand. And all of a sudden you can feel those abdominal muscles working. So knee up, try to push the knee back down. Similar concept that we had with the pillow, except we're not actually bringing the torso down. We're just letting the abdominal muscles contract as that knee comes up and we're pushing the knee away. Switching sides, again, take that hand, push the knee away as the knee comes up. One more time. Good. All right, sitting up nice and tall. A couple of last things I want to do are to work on our range of movement through our shoulders. So one of the ways we can do that is just to take the arms out to the side and circle forward. And then with each circle, we're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until we get really big. And then I want you to get smaller. Once you get really small, you're going to go backwards, starting small, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then again, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Take the arms down to the side. Next, we're going to do what's called the touchdown move. And this is one we do in our arthritis class just to help get those shoulders loosened up and moving in a bigger way, very slowly. So what we're going to do is take the arms back, reaching back as far as you can. Bring your hands to a point out in front of you. And then the first time out, we're just going to take those arms right out to the side. Bring your hands back to a point and reach back. Again, reaching back as far as you can. Bring the hands to a point, this time coming up a little farther. So just above shoulder height, back to a point, and reach back. Next, we're going to be coming up into a wide letter V. So as you can see, we're reaching up higher just a little bit each time. The letter Y is next like YMCA. Back to a point. And now this last one is going to come all the way up, signaling touchdown. That's why it's called the touchdown move. And then we're going to do all of those again, starting with the touchdown. And then we'll work our way back down. Next we have the letter Y. Back to a point, again, reaching way back. The letter V, out wide. Coming just above shoulder height. Our last one, of course, is just straight out to the side. Let's hold this one back. Take a nice big stretch through the front of the chest and shoulders. Dropping the arms down and give your shoulders a nice roll backwards. Now, shoulders should really start to feel less crunchy here because we've been moving the shoulders around with the different movements we've been doing, especially after that touchdown. I'm going to have you stand up one last time. So again, feet apart. If you need support, hands to the knees. If not, hands up. Let's stand up. I'm going to go over to the wall. We're going to do some wall push-ups. Now, you can do wall push-ups. You can do them up against your stairs. If you've got stairs, have your feet at the bottom of the stairs. Come up to step number 2, 3, 4. Hands on that step. Do your push-ups. Otherwise, we're on the wall. Hands shoulder width apart or wider. And hands, make sure they're coming out from the shoulders, not up by the head. I'm going to have you do anywhere between 5 and 10 push-ups. So we're here doing our wall push-ups. Keep going on those push-ups, again, anywhere between 5 and 10. Now, for those of you who want to be a little, take your push-ups a little harder, you can always use a chair too. So if you've got your hands on your chair, on the seat of your chair, you can do chair push-ups here. Or on your counter in your kitchen, depending on the height of that. Great place to do push-ups. Push-ups is one of those exercises that we should be doing every day because that's our great upper body strength exercise. All right, after your push-ups, whether you're on the wall, the chair, hey, if you want to go down to the mat, go right ahead. We'll take a seat and we'll just finish off with some stretches. So again, sitting up nice and tall, let's find that good posture. We're going to take one foot out, point and flex at the ankle, and then go side to side like a windshield wiper. Keeping your foot flexed, place your heel on the ground. If you need to scoot up so you can straighten that leg up, move up in your chair. Lift up really tall, hands to your lap, and just leaning over maybe about 45 degrees to stretch through the back of the legs, those hamstrings, those calves, keeping the foot flexed. Holding each stretch 15 seconds or longer. If you've got more time, which most of us do nowadays, holding your stretches even for a minute. You can use your hands to give yourself a little push back up, pull that foot in. Same thing other side, pointing and flexing. And then taking the foot side to side, windshield wiper. Flexing the foot, legs straight, up tall and over stretching, keeping that foot flexed. So pulling the toe up toward the knee, feeling that great stretch in the back of your leg. Again, minimum 15 seconds, even up to a full minute on each of the stretches. That's the good thing about the video. You can pause it and keep stretching if you want. Hands help you push back up. Now, we're going to take those arms back like we did just a little while ago. Nice big stretch. Take a big breath in and out. And then bringing your arms around. Give yourself a big hug. Walk your fingertips way back on your shoulders. So this is going to stretch between the shoulders, that upper back area. And taking those arms back, nice big stretch. And coming on around, walking the fingertips back. Good. Next, let's take one arm up and over toward the side, stretching along the side of the body, getting that rib cage included. Make sure that hip stays down on the chair, so both hips down on the chair. Couple of nice big deep breaths in and out. Bringing that arm down. And we're going to take that arm across the chest. And the other arm is going to come underneath, giving that arm a hug to stretch through the shoulder. So again, holding these stretches. And now the same arm, we're going to get the tricep in here. Placing the fingertips on the back of the shoulder, you can use your other hand to help hold your elbow up. Taking that arm down. Doing the other side, reaching up and over, nice big stretch. Again, make sure this hip stays down on your chair. Bringing the arm down. Again, this arm is going to come across the body. Other arm comes underneath to hug the arm and shoulder. Feeling that good stretch in the side and the back of your shoulder. And then we'll do the tricep. Fingertips to the back of the shoulder. Other arm can help hold that up. Good. We'll release the arms down. Take the wrist. We're going to do some wrist circles here. So your index fingers are going to come down and around. Your index fingers are making the letter, or the figure 8, kind of like conducting an orchestra. You're bending at the wrists. And then to go the opposite direction, start with your palms facing you. Your pinky fingers are going to roll in toward you, bending at the wrist. Arms come down to your lap. Let's do those looks, side to side. Just notice if they feel different than when we started. Ear to shoulder, that nice stretch along the side of your neck. This should definitely feel a lot better with the shoulder movements we did. And then, of course, taking your nose, pulling it back, and tucking your chin down. Good. Let's sit up tall. Let's finish with those nice, big, deep breaths in and out. And doing a final notice of how your shoulders feel, how your back feels, how your collarbone feels. And doing these basic movements every day will keep us moving, will keep us better able to walk, better able to do the things we need to do every day, whether it's grocery shopping, working in the yard now, finally that the weather's going to be nice. and just doing things around the house, whether it's unloading the dishwasher, doing laundry, putting things away, all of those things, even cooking, bringing pots and pans out. So hopefully you feel better after this video and getting through these movements. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next time.